Welcome, and thank you for joining us for this SumTotal group webinar supported by Data Centres Ireland. My name is Kirsten Hill, and I am the Event Manager for Data Centres Ireland. This webinar will be presented by Niall Sheridan, Director, Head of Sales for the Republic of Ireland, and Steve Mansell, Divisional Director of Critical Facilities UK. The presentation is called Complete Digital Lighting Ecosystems for the Modern Mission Critical Facility. Please visit the Data Centres Ireland website to view other on-demand content, as well as the latest information on the Data Centres Ireland Virtual Festival, which will be taking place on the 16th to the 20th of November 2020. This webinar will be recorded and uploaded to the Data Centres Ireland website after the event. Your microphone is muted, but you will have the opportunity to ask any questions at the end. Now, over to Niall and Steve.
Thanks, Kirsten. Thanks very much for that introduction. Yeah, we're delighted that you took the time out this morning, guys, to be part of this presentation on the complete digital lighting ecosystems for the modern mission critical facility, aka data centers. We thank Data Centre Ireland for organising this for us, and we are also proud members of the DCA. We are quite the experts in data centers across Ireland, UK, and Europe for the last few years. Normally, how I go to route about a data center is whether it's with the end user or maybe it might be with the consultant engineer. We take a holistic, full approach that myself and Steve will talk about throughout this presentation. A little bit about the group first, SumTotal Group. Who are we and what do we do? First and foremost, the group is made up of 4 companies. And the group, we're just lighting. We don't do anything else. We just make lighting. We're a well-established group. We've done a turnover of over 1 billion. We have 90 sales offices and partners in 90 countries. SumTotal has 70 years of experience in lighting, and Thorn has 90 years plus. So we have an in-depth of experience within the group. We have 13 plants on 4 continents. We're a very innovative company. We have nearly 5,000 patents and over 6,000 employees worldwide. So I'll tell you a little bit about the brands, and then we can start on the presentations themselves. So the brand is made up of, the group is made up of 4 main brands. For the indoor, which we'll concentrate on some today, is Thorn and SumTotal. Industry, logistics, office education, shop retail, art and culture. The outdoor, for high-end facade and kind of art and culture, you have AC/DC. For urban areas and roads, you have Thorn, and sports and stadia as well. And then we've the components end of the business as well, which is Tridonic, which is also a very well-known name within the industry. But as part of being a global brand, we like to think we're very sustainable and eco-friendly. And with that in mind, we have a target by 2030 that we reduce our energy consumption by 30%. Revenues from sustainable products at the moment is at 82%, and 85% of our waste in manufacturing is recyclable. To complete this and to kind of bring it to what you guys do, we also have EPDs with each of our products. And an EPD basically in the simplest form means Environmental Product Declaration. And the Environmental Product Declaration basically is a certificate or information on the life cycle of that particular component or light fitting. So it's basically farm to fork with the light fitting. And this is the same focus, this environmental focus, the same focus that we have as some of the clients here on this call today. So the contents, we don't plan to hold you guys on the line too long, maybe 34, 35 minutes. That's what we've timed it to. But the contents today, Steve's going to do a bit of the outdoor. I'll cover reception, Steve will cover corridors. Then back in the plant area, which Steve will cover. The data hall itself, which is a bit more complex, myself and Steve will cover that together, and we've Q&As. You'll also see here on the right-hand side a picture of our specific Light for Data Centers brochure. Now, up the top right of your screen there, you'll see an orange or red button, an arrow to the left. If you click that to the left, expand your screen, you can actually download that PDF straight away, which is really handy and help you support on this presentation. So without further ado, we're going to move to the outdoor, and I'm going to hand you over to Steve Mansell.
Thanks, Niall, and thanks all for joining us. We really, really appreciate you giving up your time on this Tuesday morning. So from a design viewpoint, when we're looking at a data center or data center facility, we always start from the outside in. Quite a logical approach, but in a lot of cases, the external of the data center is often the last thing to be considered from a design viewpoint, which is really surprising when you take into consideration that this is your first point of contact with your clients or your users. Its importance cannot be underestimated. One of the global players within the sector recently released a video of their 6 layers of physical security. And it won't surprise you to realize that the first layer of their physical security was the external of the building. So when you're looking at the external of a building, there's different aspects that you want to look at. One of the biggest things for us is the security, whether that be the security of the building or the security of the people, whether they be employees or visitors. So when people think security on data centers, you automatically go to IT security. Now, there's no doubt that for the clients, IT security is absolutely paramount. But that IT security is only as good as the external security to keep the data halls safe and the people within there safe and secure. So when we're looking at the external of the building, we use the external lighting to shape and contour the perimeter of the space. This makes it inviting, it gives it a feel of comfortableness, it gives people a feel of security when they go into the space. We also look at using intelligent lighting through the use of intelligent sensors where they talk to each other, so we can control the amount of light we're using in the space, because we've always got an eye on the PUE as well. So where we can support through a low energy application, that's really good. And also it gives your visitors and your people the opportunity to use the light as a guide from one part of the campus to another. So as I say, it really is an important point from a security aspect. Then you move on from the general security and general lighting to car park lighting. Now, whether that be an internal car park under the building or an external exposed car park, the same thing is the driver, which is the security of the people that are using the facility and who need that space to be well lit. A well lit car park will make people feel secure. There's nothing worse than getting out your car in a car park and it's dark, you feel intimidated. So we always have that in our mind. Again, like with the security lighting, energy efficiency is really, really important to us. All our luminaires are top of the range LED products. So we know that we are leading the way with how we go about doing this. But it's the balance of performance and efficiency. So we do want to get the efficiency right, the comfort right, but the performance has got to be there as well. And again, when we use the external luminaires, external car park, we can use daylight link sensors, so we can control the amount of light coming from the luminaire. In the internal car parks, we group sensors. So you might have a selection of luminaires in an area and a corridor hold. So you never feel like you're in an isolated pool of light. And it's all about the people and the space. And then from there, we look at the facade. Now, for us, the facade, a lot of people would say, what are you doing looking at a facade on a data center? Data center, it's not facade lighting, that's your high-end architectural. But when we look at facade lighting, there's 2 ways of looking at it, and they're very, very, very different. One is as a point of interest. One is to make you stand out, and the other is about discretion. It's making you blend in. Now, recently we had a project in central London, which was in the city. The building, a new data center, new architectural building, and all its neighbours were old historical buildings. But what the data center developer didn't want to do is for his data center to stand out. He wanted it to blend in. So what we did, we looked at the lighting around it and how other buildings were lit, and we used the same approach. So we used an in-ground uplight, casting a warm light up the building, and it really did give the building an element of discretion when it didn't really suit what its neighbours looked like, but the client was extremely happy with the end outcome. So again, we'll work with our clients and try and advise and help as best we can. So but on the other side, if you're looking at it as a point of interest, if you've got a branding on the outside of your building, we can use your brand colours through colour change technology, which Niall will touch on in more detail later on. And we can also use the lighting on the facade of a building as a wayfinder to your reception to guide your clients on these client-facing data centers through to the reception area where you can greet them. It creates a warm and welcoming atmosphere, and it links your external to your internal. So I'm going to hand you over to Niall, who's going to talk to you more about the indoor and start on reception.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we're going to go into the indoor now, into the reception area. And just a reminder, guys, that up at the top right there is a facility to type in questions, which we'll try and take as many at the end as possible. So when we come to the indoor, obviously the first place you're going to come to is the reception area. Now, reception area traditionally in these kind of facilities are probably a grey wall with a desk in the middle that was very rarely manned by anybody, uninviting. But the reception now, it's the first point of contact. It's where you make your very first impression, and we do it well. We do receptions really well in the sense that you want to highlight the areas. You want to make an area comfortable for your clients coming in, that they have a breakout space to sit or have a cup of coffee or while they wait for the tour of the facility. And as they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So it's important when we talk about client facing as well, that the client facing is you need to have that competitive advantage. You need to present your reception as a client facing and welcome your guests into a comfortable surroundings. And we can do this with using warmer whites, color changing on the back of the reception area as well, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. An area that people want to be in. And you need to break the perceived notion. People have a perceived notion of what a data center should look like. So the reception will really set you apart and get you on the head up. So when you talk about feature lighting, as I said, you can see there's a subtle green on that desk there. We use the latest in RGBW technology. This technology could be standalone. You can use on Bluetooth to your phone or Bluetooth from your iPad, or it can be connected to our Lightcom system, which is our control system, which Steve will talk about a little bit more in the presentation. You can project your corporate identity through your company colors. If you have visitors from another country and you want to do the flag colors, you can change that as well. You can have multiple color changing scenes, whether it's Halloween or Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day or any of those days. You can have them all preset. So just sets you apart again. We use the state-of-the-art lenses and control beam technology. Here is a fairly complex diffused 5D lens. I'm not going too much into the lens, what it does, but basically what this can achieve very simply, it gets you light exactly where that light needs to be. So if you need to highlight something on the wall, or you need to have an intense spot or a wide flood, you need it in green or in blue or in red or whatever it is. This allows you to do it, and it adapts really, really simply and very, very quickly and cleanly. So you don't even know it's changing. And this can be done through a smartphone. So this easily lets you select the control feature for your lighting. So you're in fully control, and it's fully dynamic and intuitive as well. So we're going to leave the reception area here now, and then obviously we're going to go into the corridors, which is a very vital part of the data center. And Steve is going to go a little bit more into the corridors as well and talk to you about that.
Thanks, Niall. Thanks so much. So yeah, guys, any of you who are actively involved within data center design or running data centers, you'll know that the data center is made up of a labyrinth. It's a multitude of corridors, and those corridors are, the way we look at them, they're either front of house, which we treat as a high-end office space, which are client-facing, client interactive, and client used, or you have back of house, which are more service-based corridors, where you'll have your technical engineers and your FM companies who will predominantly use them. So when we look at the corridor lighting in general, what we tend to look at on the high-end front of house client-facing corridors, where you'll normally have, white walls, or like in this image, a living wall, we look at maybe light lines, homogeneous light lines like our slat light product, or a recessed down light where you might use a white reflector to give a really soft glow on the wall. So it's all about the architectural finish within that space. And then the lighting within the back of house corridors, which may be exposed services, maybe on uni-strut or hanging, where we tend to use a more industrial feel. So we might use our Tecton product, which is a continuum luminaire system. Again, Niall will touch on that more later on when we go into the data hall section. Or we may use an Aquaforce Pro or an Amphibia type product mounted to trunking. But the reason we do this, and it all has the same end effect, is what we try to achieve is good cylindrical illuminance. Because what we know from talking with our clients is the rise of facial recognition software lends itself to cylindrical illuminance. It's never been more prevalent for security reasons, because good lighting, good instant recognition, good facial recognition leads to less false positives. So as your clients are walking in the front of house areas and they've got their, maybe have a fob and they're going from one area to another, as they check through and it's linked into your security system, you can track them and that camera picks them up. The lighting, the good lighting and the well-designed lighting will aid you in identifying the people within the facility. And again, with the back of house areas as well, it has exactly the same effect. So although we are taking a different approach on the product we use, the reason we do it is the same, is to get the right amount of light and the right type of light to aid and assist within the recognition. And as you say, on modern office space, anywhere is a meeting space. So if you've got clients in the building and they stop to talk in the corridor, having good cylindrical illuminance aids in an impromptu meeting, because that people read off people's faces. And then, as you know, with corridors, most corridors form part of the emergency exit strategy within a building, and data center facilities are no different. So as you'd imagine, from a world-leading manufacturer of luminaires, we have a fully ENEX certified range of exit signage, different viewing distances, different application types, different IP ratings, to suit how we go about completing our design, which also aids us in how we approach and supporting your fire strategist with the light and design to go with what he's got. Sorry guys, got a little technical issue with the presentation here. I'll hand you over to Niall, who'll pick up on offices.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks very much. Yeah, guys, so now we're leaving the corridor areas and we're going into the office and the admin area. It's fair to say anybody who knows Zumtobel has known our expertise. We've really honed our expertise over the years of office lighting. We've come world leaders in our optics and our optical performance, and we've put all that expertise into lighting data centers. My first data center I lit, it was actually with a batten fitting, and then I kind of progressed from that batten fitting into kind of like a vapor proof, and then the technology more and more we became in tune of what the needs of a data center is. So we've developed some very specific optics for it, which I'll speak about later on. But as I said, the office is a very important place now, and it's not a static office like we used to years ago. The same person's not sitting at the same desk doing the same thing. That desk might be used for emails at one part of the day, and then it might be used for drawings another part of the day, and then it might be used for a meeting and showing samples. So you're going to need different light levels throughout the day, and we can help that with a flexible architectural, a flexible light, and communicates these to you. But when it comes to discomfort glare, there's two different types of glare. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because this is a presentation in itself. But it's basically there's two types of glare. There's direct glare, which you'll get directly from the luminaire, usually at a 45-degree angle straight into the back of the eye, or reflected glare off your screen. So you need to be able to manage that glare. And we do a complete range of luminaires to comply with the UGR rating. UGR means Unified Glare Ratio. And we publicize all our UGR values and our photometrics on our website. So they're easy to download, and you can plug them into your own Dialux or Relux or whatever it may be. But it says, and this line is really, really important, the top line there, only happy employees are efficient employees. And that's very true. If you have an office area or an admin area that it's comfortable to be in, that you want to be in, people are going to be enjoying going to work and going to that space. Gone are the days where you used to light a in office with 4x18 watt modular with a Cat2 louver and having a dark line or a cave effect along the walls. Those days are gone. Now we're trying to get light, get light on your task area where it's needed, get light on the ceiling, get light on the walls as well. But the important thing as well is that we want to utilize the best light source that we have. And unfortunately, it's not one we make, but it's daylight. And we need to really utilize that as best we can. So with our lighting controls, we can utilize that daylight, because there's no better light to work under is daylight, because good lighting has a positive impact on people's performance, health, and well-being. But yeah, so I hope everybody's sticking with us here now and enjoying this. We're going to leave the admin area now. I'm going into the heart of the data center, which is the plant area. So Steve's going to take over here now again. And
cheers, Niall. So plants within data centers, plants in general, it's not the sexiest of areas, but like Niall said, it is the heartbeat of a data center. The plant needs to be right to control the environment within the data hall. And if the plant isn't right, there is absolutely no chance the data hall will stand up over time. So within plant, we look at different areas. This is an AHU plant area, rooftop, and then you have internal plant areas as well. So depending on where you are, the environment is very, very different. So if you're looking at an external roof plant, which we do a lot of, you're looking at IK ratings because you need any kind of external knock-in damage. You're looking at weatherproof luminaires. We're also looking at luminaires that are tested and approved to be installed within exposed external environments. Now, we had a project recently, a massive rooftop plant area, and it hadn't been done that long. The luminaires that were fitted weren't ours, but they were IP65 rated weatherproof luminaires. We got called to site, went to site, because the FM company had an issue with them keep failing. Now, while the luminaires were IP65 and weatherproof, they weren't tested for exposed external environments. They were filling up with water. So a luminaire of that type, we make them with our Aquaforce Amphibia. They are designed for IP rating with dust ingress, etc. But what they're not designed to do is be in that direct weather application. And they warp. They have UV degradation. And when that happens, the gasket gives, etc. So what we did, we had a consultation with the client over about 18 months. This went on, where we had the consultation, we were discussing with them, and we put forward one of our products, which is the Thorn Force LED IK10, and it is fully tested and approved for that external application. It got tested, client was happy, signed off, and fair play to the client, at their own expense, they have totally upgraded that roof plant, but they've also now gone on a program to investigate all of the roof plant and do the same process. So, where roof plant, you might think it's important. The importance of having a light that will work when you need it is really, really important. So picking the right light is really important at that stage. And then if you move on to the internals, when you're looking at internal plant areas, you get, again, extreme fluctuations in temperature due to the plant that's in there. Some plant areas may be temperature controlled, which is fine. You need a luminaire that has got, your dust, water, the particulates, so because they're not clean environments generally in a plant area, and you need a level of impact resistance. So, an internal plant area, an IK8 rated luminaire, which is the impact resistance, is absolutely fine. So these are the kind of things that we consider before we even put forward a luminaire choice within that area of the project. Moving on from there, when you're looking at mainly internal plant areas, for us, safety is the main thing. Whatever we do, whatever we look at from a lighting design viewpoint, the safety of the people within the space is absolutely key to how we go about designing it. Plant areas, high risk areas, for us, local control is absolutely the right thing to do. So a switch, it can be a normal switch, it can be a lock switch, but when that engineer goes into that area, technical engineer goes into the area, they put that light on, they know there's no time-based system that's going to time that light out when they're underneath the plant, risking their life or risking injury. Why we say that, one thing we do, and this comes back to the ecosystem of lighting, is we still recommend that the luminaire has a DALI monitoring system. So that luminaire still forms part of the site-wide DALI system and the site-wide ecosystem of lighting. And the reason we say this is because When it's on a Dali system, the Dali system will monitor the health of that luminaire. If there's an issue with the luminaire, you will know before you go in and try to use it. The system will, by using the system properly, will keep you aware of that. We'll talk a bit more about our lighting management systems a bit later on in this presentation, but it's good to know that that is the approach that we take. And then again, within these areas, when you're talking about safety, we tend to use the general task luminaires within our emergency scheme. We spoke earlier about dedicated emergency luminaires. This is slightly different, and the reason we do it is because within these plant areas, it's absolutely paramount that we get the right level of lux on the face of the plant and on the floor, so the people that are in there working on high risk equipment feel safe. And again, for us, whether it be a local battery, if the ambient temperature within the room facilitates it, or a remote battery, we don't mind, and we'll be led by what the client's preference is. We'd always try to recommend a remote battery because of the benefits it brings, but we understand that both work and both have an equal benefit to it. And if you move on to the emergencies in general within the plant room, again, I've said it before, it's very simple, cliche, but you want emergency lighting that works when all else fails. That is the reason we have emergency lighting. That is the reason it cannot be overlooked. Like I've just said, high risk areas, but that just doesn't include plant areas. So you might have things like break glass points, firefighting equipment, etc. These areas need to be taken into consideration when we're doing our emergency design. So we work in tandem with your fire strategist, and we understand where these points are, and we'll ensure that the right level of light is on them within our design. And again, the power source can be remoted locally or remoted remotely via an e-box, which again we'll talk about in a bit more. Now we're going to move on to the bit that everybody's waiting for, which is the data hall, and I'm going to hand you over to Niall.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you very much. Yeah, when we get involved with a data hall, or whether it's a refit, or whether it's a fit out of a colo, or it's a brand new build, when you ask them to get involved, you get a team around you. You get a control specialist, an e-box emergency specialist, project management, lighting specialist, lighting design center as well. We have all these teams to work with each other. And as I said at the beginning, how I normally do it, we would normally take either the client's drawings or the consultant's drawings, which tend to have the fittings marked up on them, which is fine. And we just overlay our fittings onto that. We run a calculation just as a fail safe, just make sure the lux levels, uniformity, the glare, the spacing is all okay. And then that allows us then to take that drawing the way our light design team have put together. We'll send it through to our control specialist, who then mark on the sensors and where they need to go, and what equipment he needs for the light-com. And then that's handed on to the emergency specialist, who can work out the capacity of the e-box, where emergencies go and what emergencies should be used. So, one of the fittings I'm going to talk about today is a Tecton. And the reason I picked this Tecton is because, as I said before, I've lit data centers with batten fittings, and I've lit them with vapor proofs and very other flat bags and stuff like that. But as we evolved, this Tecton has really evolved with us. The Tecton, the reason it's so good for data centers is its modularity. It's very, very flexible. So you can run your trunking, you can run your length of trunking, and then you can position your fittings exactly where you need them. You can also put other facilities on it. You can put your emergencies on it. You can put your sensors on it, and other services as well. So basically, in its simplest form, a Tecton is a trunking system. It's an 11-pole trunking system, which you can put all these bits and pieces on as well. As you can see on the screen there, it's 70% faster installation times. That's 70% faster than your traditional wiring technique. So for any contractors on the line here, very simple to put together. You feed in one end or feed in the middle, and then you just click on your fittings. As simple as that. Click them on, and you have blanking plates as well. So it's really, really simple to put together. But the other thing is, for the data center itself, oh, here's a picture actually of some of the Tecton actually installed in one of these facilities, and you can see the length of Tecton there with the luminaires clicked in. You can see sensors clicked in as well, and some emergency fittings. So it's and you can see, you don't have to have a Dilux calculation, or you don't have to have a lighting design calculation done to show the uniformity of the light, because it's self-evident from that photograph. But the other thing about Tecton is its efficiency. And what I mean by efficiency is that you are getting more light per watt put in. So it's really, really efficient. So it's a high luminaire lumens per circle watt. And we're also getting light where it needs it. So if you look at the top right picture there, that's a Tecton luminaire with a shelf beam. So what that shelf beam doing is getting the light on the cabinets. So for maintenance or any of the engineers working there, they get the right light on the cabinets on the vertical. And if you look at the picture underneath it, that's just a normal 360-degree throw the light anywhere kind of button. They both work. Don't get me wrong, they both work. But ironically, the bottom light fitting with more light distribution, you'd actually need more of those to get the light where you need it, as opposed to the top one. So by having the right optic in the right place, it means your scheme is much more efficient and you're getting the light where you need it as well. But it's also a very important to point out the environment that this Tecton is going into. So Tecton and all the components that go on the emergency and the sensors and all that are using data centers is rated up to 45 degrees because it's a very harsh environment. You have a lot of hot air moving in the hot aisles and you have cold air coming in. You've also a lot of air fluctuating over sensors and stuff like that, so there's slight movements. So it's very important that you get a fitting and a system that is certified and it's going to stand the test of time. Because the last thing that you guys need to be thinking about when you're talking about a mission critical facility is you don't need to worry about the lighting. You don't need to worry if it's going to come on. You don't need to worry if it's going to come on in an emergency. You just need something that's going to work, and that if it does need to be maintained, which all systems do, that it's easy to do with little or no downtime for the data center. So with that said, as I spoke about controls and emergency, I'm just going to hand you over to Steve, and he's going to elaborate a little bit more on the lighting controls within the facility. Over to you, Steve.
Cheers, Niall. So as a leading light manufacturer, we have a complete offering of DALI-based lighting control systems. Now, the one we tend to lead with, and the one that we speak with our clients with most, and the car contractors most within data centers, is a system called LightCom. Now, LightCom, we've tried over the years to make it very simple. The issue with lighting control and what turns people off to lighting control is people are sold a dream of a lighting control system that can do everything and do whatever they need, but no one ever actually teaches them how to use it properly. And most systems that get put in don't actually perform the way they were designed to perform. So what we've done is we tried to strip it right back and make it as a simple DALI-based system as possible. So within LightCom, you have one controller that's got many uses. So the one controller can do a simple, compact data hall, where you might have our data hall, a little bit of communal space around it, and a small office area, to a site-wide, large data center campus, where you've got interlinked facilities, multiple data halls, roof areas, externals, and they can all have a common platform, which is LightCom. Now, what we have within LightCom, we can link this into any building management system. We use BACnet and we also use API. Now, for those of you that are a bit more tech savvy, API is a newer platform that allows really good seamless integration within a wide range of building management systems. So having these two facilities of BACnet and API, we can definitely support and fit in with pretty much any building-wide management system. And again, this is all about having a facility that works for you. So we will listen to what our clients are saying, and we will design our facility around the needs of the client. And we can go, with our control, we can go as far as you want or as basic as you want with our lighting control. Again, like Niall said, we have lighting control specialists. So when we come to the project as a virtual team, which is how we kind of pitch ourselves, like this holistic approach, we come, there might be 3, 4, 5, 6 some total people supporting with the client's design team, specifically looking at lighting control, and central battery. Now, the thing with our central battery system is where you look at other central batteries, which are the more traditional central battery, you're thinking big rooms, bubbling batteries, dedicated space. what we lead with within our data center clients and our data center consultants and contractors is a system called eBox. Now, the simplest way to describe eBox would be a decentralized central battery system. Gone are the days of mass battery rooms, all bubbling away. This is a very compact system, 600 wide, 1200 or 1700 high, batteries with a 10-year guarantee, built to latest Eurobat standards, which gives you the ability to have a e-box to a data hall, multiple e-boxes to a data hall, depending on size. You can also have them running dedicated emergency luminaires, your exit signage. It can be there to use your Tecton luminaire or a luminaire, a reduced output. So it's very, very flexible. But what it allows you to do is you can mount these or place these e-boxes away from the data halls, away from the heat. So the optimum ambient temperature for one of these is around 20 degrees C, and you've got this 10-year guarantee on the batteries, which is fantastic. But anytime when we're looking at this type of system, and it is an ecosystem, I hope this is why you can understand we call it a lighting ecosystem. Off the back of this, we offer a maintenance package as well. So we can turn around to the consultant, the contractor, the client, say, look, the FM, and say, look, we can offer you a maintenance package. Then you've got the peace of mind that the people that have manufactured your lighting ecosystem, your battery system, your control system, are there supporting you through the life of the project. So one thing that I definitely want to touch on here is the commissioning side, because this is way overlooked on a lot of projects. We are adamant with our commissioning that you get project management through the project, dedicated project management, but you also get commissioning engineers. So we do a contractor commissioning, and then we do a client handover commissioning, and that can be to the client or the FM. We are totally open to it, and we'll support through that process, and we'll only walk away when we are sure that the handover has been done properly, because we want these systems to work for you. So what I want to say is thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've all enjoyed our brief overview of data center lighting and how we go about doing it from Niall and I. As you can see from the screen right now, there are contact details on there for Niall and myself. If any of you have any more technical questions that you want to ask, or any project specific discussions you want to have, please feel free to reach out to us directly on these emails. There'll be a follow-up email after the webinar with our details on again. And like I said at the beginning, you can access the handout from this webinar, which is the Light for Data Centers brochure. So hopefully, as we've gone through this, you guys have been sending in questions. So what we'll do now is we'll move on to the questions. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you to Kirsten and the DCI for letting us be involved in this webinar today. It's been much appreciated.
Thank you.
Right, Niall, we've got some questions, mate. Should we have a little look through them?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Right, one of them here. Do you have different luminaire types or solutions for data halls other than Tecton? Yes, we do.
Well, yeah, we do. Yeah, yeah, as you know, you have the Tecton C, Tecton B, the kind of batten type fitting, but you can even put high bay fittings onto, like craft. You can put spots onto it. So it's a very versatile solution that you can, yeah, you can definitely add other luminaire types onto it. Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so also as well now, if you think about it, because not all data halls are built the same, I know, you know, we've had projects where we've actually designed a data hall specific 600 by 600 luminaire, a data hall specific 1200 by 300 luminaire that we fully TA rated to 50 degrees. Again, with bearing in mind the ambient temperatures we're seeing within data centers due to the rise in ambient temperature of the hardware, and that's going to go up. Let's be honest. Niall, you know, we're seeing this increase regularly now. I for one, it's not unheard of to see anywhere between 38 and 45 as it stands now. That's why we did it to 50. So yeah, we can do 600 ceiling, 1200 600 ceiling, 12 by 3. We can go surface mounted with our amphibia range because they're over 40 degree rated as well. So yeah, good question. We do have a lot of solutions for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the presentation available as a PDF? Yes, we can make it available as a PDF. That's no problem at all. Let's have a look. Sorry, so I'm just scrolling
I'm,
through.
I'm liking these questions so far. No curveballs.
Could you please elaborate on cylindrical lighting? Would you anticipate an increase in luminaire quantity to facilitate assuring cylindrical illuminance? Do you want to take that one, Niall?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question, and it's a very. Would you need more luminaires? And the impression is you probably would. But with, as I said, our optical control is really, really, really high end. So if you look, I think the best thing is to look at our website and look at the different photometric files for our particular fittings, whether it's a downlight or whether it's a 600 by 600 modular. With the spread of light we're getting from these luminaires and the increased spacings and the increased performance, it allows you to achieve your cylindrical luminance, which is usually around 150 lux at 1.75 meters from the ground. And 150 lux at 1.75, the reason for that is, and that figure wasn't just plucked out of the air, is that's the height of someone standing and the general height of someone's face. So between the 1.75 and say 1.2 meters is where you get cylindrical luminance. So I can understand why you think you might need more luminaires, but in general, with a proper lighting design, a proper calculation, no, you won't.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that, mate. I think it's not about more; it's about the right type.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the right type and making it work within the scheme. Should we go for one more, Niall?
Yes, we might well.
What about tailor-made lighting solutions for customer requirements like changing CCT or CRI or finishing or finishes?
Yeah.
I think we kind of touched on that already because, like I said, we've developed a range of lay-in luminaires to meet the technical requirements of clients, which we've now adopted within our data center portfolio. So yeah, you know, we are a leading manufacturer. All our luminaires are made by Zumtobel Group, whether it be Zumtobel or Thorn. So the Thorn factories in the UK as well. So, you know, our turnaround's very quick there. RAL colour, no problem at all. We regularly get asked for various RAL colours, RAL finishes to suit ceilings. CRI, yeah, we can go as high a CRI as people want us to. The thing with CRI, there is a cost implication. So obviously anything that moves you away from the standard adds time and adds cost, but anything is possible because we make our own luminaires. Is that a fair answer, Niall?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a live project that we completed, and in the admin area of the data center, we use circadian lighting, and we had you know, in the morning time we're at around 2,700 Kelvin. Around 3 o'clock we brought up to around 6,000 Kelvin, and this is all through doing our light comp system, which we spoke about. So this can be all linked together. In terms of customs, yeah, I've had as I showed you in the presentation, one of my slides was a shelf beam for one of my halls, one of the racking aisles. It was particularly wide, so we had to develop a specific optic for it, which we called a very wide shelf beam. And yeah, we manufactured specifically for that hall, for that corridor, and yeah, it worked perfectly. Colors, as you said, you know, everything is made by us, so whatever color you want it in, there's not a problem at all. But yeah, we do it for the different color temperature in a data hall. Don't really get requests for it. Customs I do, but definitely for the admin area and the reception area, yeah, it's a very popular request.
I'll tell you one thing I've had recently, Niall. It was on a large global players data hall. What they actually wanted was a background blue light.
Yeah.
So what they wanted task lighting as 4,000 Kelvin, which is fine with Tecton, but what they actually wanted was a background glow blue light. So when the lights were triggered on, the white light came on for their task illumination. When the data hall was vacated, the perimeter of the data hall, they wanted to have a blue glow. So what we actually did there is we incorporated a blue chip within our Tecton batten. And it switched between the two. So when the perimeter lighting switched off, the blue light came on, and you got this blue glow, which kept within the branding of the developer. So you know, there's lots of things we can do there. If we're going to take one more, I think it's quite a good one given the conversation around outdoor. What is our recommended IK rating for external bulkheads used for lighting walkways?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, if you're on a walkway, whether it's a gantry and they're at hip level, or on a wall, IK10 is a minimum you should be trying to achieve. Like as you alluded to that particular fitting we use for the AHUs, they're all pretty low. That was the force lead fitting, so that's IP66, aluminium body, IK10, and has extra support brackets at the back of it as well to reinforce the grip. So for me, IK10 is what you should be really trying to achieve in these gantry areas and these low-level walkways where people can be up against these luminaires. I presume you had the same thing as well, Steve.
Yeah, I suppose if they're in an area where they could be knocked by the service engineers or the facilities companies, yeah, there are instances where I've used IK8 in areas that may be less traffic. And they're going to be under a shelter, so they're not in direct sunlight. So you haven't got the issue, because the IK8 is generally based luminaire. So if we're going external exposed, I'd definitely go IK10. So it does depend on the application, but again, that will come down to a conversation between ourselves, the client's design team, and what the ERs are as well. You know, we can talk all day long about how we approach things. Penultimately, we're here to support the client and their design team with their design criteria. We will try and advise, we try and guide, but we work in partnership with our clients, and I think that really is a nice way to end, isn't it? You know, it is about a partnership. It's about all working together to get the best possible solution for the end client. Now, there's a load more questions here we haven't answered, so unfortunately, I'm sorry if your question has not been answered. We will come back to people via email on a one-to-one basis. And as I said earlier, if anybody has any project-specific related questions or any further queries that may come up you want answering, please feel free to reach out to Niall and I via our emails. And feel free to visit our website as well. There's a lot of technical information on our website that you can access. So for me, I'd want to say thank you, and I'll leave Niall to just finish off.
Yeah, no, thanks, Steve, and thanks, Kirsten and DCI. It's really good having you guys on the call today to listen to this. It's our first one for data centers, and hopefully it's the first of many. And as Steve said, if you need us, reach out, and everybody have a great day and stay safe.